Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
One. Hey everyone, welcome to Big Fat Real Estate Checks. I'm in an unusual position. This is like a man sandwich over here, or boys, we're not sure yet. Don't want to make it creepy. This is a quick, actually impromptu podcast episode that we decided to do at the end of my living room table. And I have an event going on right now called Ninja Creative Financing, and I have Brett over here, who is all the way from Tampa, which is usually about an hour and a half, but usually 3 hours now with whatever's going on between Tampa and Orlando. And we have Caleb, who we've actually had on the episode on this podcast before, and Frank, of course, Francesco Galluccio. Sadly, Gabriele could not make it today. He has family in and is in Miami having a lot of fun with his family. So, I have absolutely no idea what we're going to cover other than we're just going to have a candid conversation on, they started, both of them have closed deals. Some have been in the program longer than others. Have different strengths, different weaknesses, different fears, different issues. And I thought it'd be fun to just have a quick conversation. There's the 9-to-5er who is struggling with how to go from a 9-to-5 job into entrepreneurship, which I guess Caleb let me know that it was a problem at one point. And then we have an entrepreneur that's done things all over and you've been on your own for a while, so you're used to systems and processes and things just being as they are. So it's very interesting, a completely different dynamic, and I thought there would be a lot of value on sharing some insights. So as a listener, if you're a 9-to-5er and you really want to take the leap to have your life back, really, so you can basically say F you to your boss and do the things that you want to do in life. And or you're an entrepreneur and you're doing something else, which is what you were doing, but in the real estate field. And how do you make the leap to what I'm doing that's working well to something else that you don't know if it's going to work well or not? So there's a lot of concern and fear and issues with that. So I just thought it would be cool. They have no idea what we're going to discuss. I don't have prepared questions at all. Frank too. We're all a little hammered.
We usually don't have any prepared questions on the podcast, so nothing's different today.
This is true. So if you haven't listened to the first 10 episodes, our objective here is to show you how to leverage either asset-based lending or the existing loans that are on assets, specifically now with the market really shifting. So taking advantage of loans that don't require your credit or any of your own cash in order to create, which we've been doing for the last 3 days in Ninja Creative Financing. So I've said enough. I guess, Frank, do you have any, I'll get you to just roll this out. And again, impromptu, no idea what we're going to talk about, but I think it'll be interesting.
You know what, I'm glad that we have Caleb and Brett on the show today, actually, because I was in Caleb's shoes not too long ago. I was a 9-to-5er. I was from, working federal government for over 25 years, and I was stuck in that rat race. And learning these creative ways, especially this weekend, has been awesome. I know you did, this is actually your first live event in the last 3 years?
1964.
1964, so that's a long time depending on when you're watching this. But anyways, it has been a long time since you have taught Creative Ninja. And for the typical person, and like I was typical before I met Marco, and typical person would only knows one way to do a transaction, which is, seller wants X amount, and you go to your bank or your local institution and you get a loan, and they say yes or no. Actually, they say if you're worthy of the loan, and you pay them. That's the extent that I knew how to purchase properties, and especially this weekend, it's new material, so it's not what you taught in 1964 or 4 years ago or 3 years ago, but it's a lot of new material where, thinking creatively outside your box, and the shit that works. It's like calligraphy. It's a lost art that only a few people do know how to work it, how the mechanics work and all that, what instruments you use. And not only for yourself, it's to serve the seller in the end, because a lot of sellers are going to be in a pickle nowadays, because they may have got into a low mortgage or a higher mortgage and they need to get out, and they may need more money than what it's probably worth. because properties are coming down, and everyone's saying no because they just know that traditional way to buy a property, like the bank says, no, you're it's worth $1 million, but you're asking for $1 million or 1.2. We can't help you, but we can help you if you got the skills that you're teaching during this weekend. So I do appreciate you for that. I'm always learning. I know I've been doing this for 7 years now, but always learning, and I enjoy it. And it got me out of the 9-to-5 job. And I know you're on your way too, Caleb. You've been in the program for a few years, and actually you hit it off right away. One deal, not enough to retire, of course, but you got a taste of it. So it's like I don't want to say it's like crack or drugs, but once you get it, you get a little bit of high and you want a little bit more. And I think that's where you're at right now. We want that extra push so you can actually say F you to your boss and whoever else you're. I don't know if you're.
As long as he's not watching.
Well, okay, we're not.
Or she.
His name's not really Caleb. It's not. But
I am Job.
Yeah. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, like your journey so far.
He's already. If you missed it, I'll throw in which episode he was in. So in the interest of time, because it's already like almost 11 o'clock, we've been doing this all day, and Brett has a 9 p.m. going to bed time apparently, because look at the white on his face. He's like Santa Claus. So he just a quick snapshot. And I guess the thing that you're struggling with the most, because if someone is listening, you have a job that's physical labor, or blue collar job, right? And and you have a mindset that's very I guess something that I haven't had in a while. So you forget what you were sometimes, like. The things that you thought are no longer the things that you think at one point. And it's really, and once your brain expands, it can never go back to where it was.
It's like the Matrix.
It is, and then you realize, well, shit. So, and you're still not out of it, even though you've closed some transactions, you have Airbnbs, you've bought properties, none of your money, and you've done a lot of neat things, and you're on your way there. But can you speak to, I guess, the biggest struggle that you've had over some time, because I think it would be very helpful for other humans to hear.
So here's where I'll start, is that why do people work 9 to 5? It's because they don't know how to make money any other way. So people are stuck in a belief that they need to work at a job 9 to 5 to make money, to support their family. And most people, if they get into a good job, they believe that at some point they will be able to retire. And so they look for a pension. They look for an opportunity where they can contribute to a 401k. And whether they know it or not, they're actually building themselves into a position for passive income. Vis-a-vis the job. But, pause.
Nope, just closer to the mic.
So, through educating myself vis-a-vis
Vis-a-vis that's a very advanced word.
Podcasts,
This is
books,
some average blue collar guy.
audio books, whatnot.
Well, ipso facto, ergo.
I have been dubbed Caleb the Verbose.
The verbose.
The point is that whether people know it or not, they're actually putting themselves in a position to hopefully have passive income at one point to retire. And so when you realize that, if you realize that early enough, you can realize that you can circumvent that whole process by increasing your skills in a different way to get passive income, to retire. But actually what I want to say real quick before you interject is, Brett and I were talking on the way over, and I've seen this with people in my life where they retire and they feel potentially, I don't want to say unuseful, but they lack purpose. So instead of retiring, I want to say maybe we repurpose.
Well, the word retirement means be put out of use.
I was just going to say that. Webster, if you look at any dictionary.
What if I have Oxford and not Webster?
You can't use that one.
It's totally different.
Oxford's more advanced. Maybe a Caleb has that.
Vis-a-vis.
Maybe Caleb has that. But you know what? But actually, you made a good point. So people work all their life till they get to a certain age, which the government tells you what age you should retire at, right? And then when you do that, your lifestyle goes lower because you're not earning as much as you are when you're working. Granted, you have more expenses when you're working. You're traveling to work and you're putting gas, you're buying food and shit like that, lunch and coffees and whatever. But in the end, you have to live in a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you work till 65, which I heard rumors they're changing it to like 70, which is horrible. Because some people don't even get to that point. I had many colleagues that
That's
they
the
said
plan.
they want to travel. They're waiting till retirement to travel to Europe and see Italy and Portugal and whatever. And fuck, they don't make it there. And the ones that do retire, you hear it all the time in the news. When they do retire, they got no meaningful, like they feel
No purpose.
They don't no purpose, and they die after 5 years. So you're fucked. You're fucked either way.
Okay.
So I think, from an entrepreneur perspective, and I think when you hear people say entrepreneur, so I wasn't an entrepreneur on purpose. I just didn't like to be told what to do, and so I figured that out in a job that I was just.
You need to talk into this microphone closer. You just said you didn't like to be told what to do. That was a joke. It was a joke.
I didn't even think that.
It was.
So I.
Vis-a-vis being.
Yeah. So I figured out pretty quickly that just like the job world wasn't going to work for me because I did not enjoy being told what to do, and a lot of times people tell me what to do, I felt like I knew better than them anyway, and that was a real problem for me. So I was an entrepreneur because it wasn't going to work any other way. And the thing that happened to me that really changed my perspective on success was that I was struggling, and somebody that cared for me sat me down and explained this like life timeline. And basically what they said was most people are on this timeline, and on this journey there's a kiln, and that kiln or that inferno, if you are willing to go through it, it will harden you into a useful vessel, just like clay is basically useless until you turn it into something and then heat it up, and then it becomes useful. And so this guy looks at me, and he was a double black belt in Daijitsu. Daijitsu is a practice of killing your opponent. Mm-hmm. So he felt pretty secure in just telling me whatever he needed to tell me. And so he said, look, Brett, here's your problem is every time you feel the heat from the inferno, you back away. And I don't know how many more years you're going to spend backing away from the inferno. But the moment you decide to go through the inferno, you're going to be a more useful vessel. Mm-hmm. And that day, I decided to go through the inferno. And I became a more useful vessel, and I made more money, and I was a better husband and a better dad, and all those sorts of things. And so I think we're conditioned to back away from that heat over and over again. And that was just a moment in time where I decided to go through it. And sort of like an impasse, I didn't realize there were other kilns and infernos along the way. So that was the first one, and then there were others along the way. And getting involved with you, Marco, was another one because I had to say, okay, 7 years of doing real estate a certain way, which by the way created a really good lifestyle for me and my family. One of the top guys in that industry in my area, very well respected. But I had to learn a new language. Mm-hmm. And at 47, 48 years old, that's not quite as easy as when I was in my 20s and I was eagerly looking for new ways to do things and that sort of stuff. But what I saw was guys like Frank basically doing this the same amount of time as me. I had 0 recurring revenue and you had lots. And so I want recurring revenue like I want my next breath. And that was the motivation for me that said, I'm going to submit my ego. I'm going to submit what I think I know to a stranger. Marco was a total stranger to me. I didn't know him. And listen. Now I had enough brain power to figure out like you knew what you were talking about. Like I had met some people along the way in my real estate journey that were very like surface level. And then the moment I would ask like a deeper question, they would change the topic because they had no depth. But with you, we sat at that first lunch for, almost 2 hours. And it was like every question had a reasonable answer and a logical answer that I could in my mind, I could go, okay, I could see how that might work. And so there was a willingness to learn something new and apply it. And, you know, that's what caused me to get involved, was that residual component.
What was the pain? You were saying that you were you wanted passive income like your last breath, and that's a very powerful motivator. A lot of people that I come across, and you've met many of them, have some are in the program for a very short period of time, like you, less than a year, and have added a few $1 million to your net worth and a significant amount of passive income. Which, if you choose to share, that's fine. If not, that's not the point of this. This at all. There are those that hit it out of the gate very quickly and then lose their way, or something happens, and then those that go and then, you know, are very focused. You're both humans. You both speak English. You both are very intelligent individuals. You have access to the exact same resources. Mm-hmm. You participate in the exact same monthly or weekly classes, and you have access to me in the same way. When you text, I respond, unless it's irritating. And you know, and when you text, I respond, right? So, and there's this whole team there to support you. But results, there's some people in the group that I've seen for 5-6 years. They have the same information, and they're still struggling with step one, which is just get an email out, right? They haven't even done that yet. I can point them out. I don't want to put it down.
They point themselves out by what they say and their behaviors. So I'm going to talk about recurring revenue, recurring
because
income.
there's definitely a motivator there. People are usually running away from something or running towards something.
Yes.
Right. So you're clearly running towards something that you really desire. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what's more powerful, running away from something or running towards something, but either you're running in a direction.
Yep.
So if you're not running, you just are fairly comfortable, nothing's going to change. So you had something that happened, or something that you saw, or something that you desire, a fire in your belly to get there. So I'm just curious about that, because I never asked the question.
So I was very fortunate over the last 7 or 8 years to have a friend who has a incredibly high income, and it is all recurring income. And we became friends, and I got to see firsthand what that meant and what it means. And I got to see what a life looked like of never having to consider the cost of anything. My kid likes this football team. They're playing halfway across the country. We're going. My favorite college team's playing in this bowl. We're going. We're going here. That's not a bragging sort of thing. It's just life without compromise and life without having to consider the cost. And that got in me in a way that's kind of hard to describe. And I really wanted it. I was not envious of his life. It was incredibly encouraging. And as I got to know him, I realized he's just a regular dude that woke up every day and applied something over and over and over and over and never cared about the outcome and just kept applying it. And it created multi-million dollars a year of recurring revenue. Mm-hmm. And boy, I wanted that so bad. I tried to produce it the way he did, and I couldn't. I didn't enjoy that. And I already did real estate, so it was like it was the simplest path for me to stay in something that I already did and just apply it in a different way.
That's great.
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier, is a lot of people only know one way, one strategy to get into real estate. And you did one, and you did well for yourself, but you wanted that. It didn't give you the residual. So you had to, I don't want to call it was like 9 to 5. It was, you had to work, find the property, and then you sold it, right? So you got that.
It was
windfall.
transactional.
Yeah, exactly. So you got that windfall, but if you stop doing that, then if Brett goes away for a bit and goes to watch a game and follows their college team or whatever, you're not making any money unless you have a tribe that's actually working for you. But it's almost like a 9 to 5. But you're an entrepreneur, but you actually created your own job. You were your own boss.
Yep.
So no one told you to do, but you had to do it in order to survive, right? And so now using a different strategy, which Marco's teaching, is okay. How do I get into the path of cash, which we were talking about before today? How do you get into that and to create that passive income? So yeah, you don't have to worry about, the first of the month is a good day, right? It's always a good day, and it just keeps recycling. So if you flourish one month, and the next month is going to come back to you again. So that's the freedom that people are looking for, and sadly, a lot of them are not going to reach it. They don't know because they don't have the skill sets, they don't have the knowledge, and they don't. You went through that inferno that you were talking about. By the way, I dealt with clay before in my elementary days, and it wasn't a useful product at the end of the day when I was, molding clay into a cup. Did you ever play with clay?
I did. I'm just listening.
Okay, you were looking at me funny.
No.
I thought
No, it's just how I look.
it was a bad. it was a sad looking cup. But anyways, I'm glad you shared that.
But when it went through the kiln, it was useful.
Yes.
Not the way you necessarily
some
put it
degree.
together.
I'm sure you could.
But that's,
I'm sure it held a little bit of water. I had a cup. It was a teacup.
But being your own boss is cool, but be careful that you're your own boss, but your boss is an asshole. Because you have to do this, you have to do this,
Or he's
you have to do
lazy.
this, right?
Right.
And you can't step away from the business because the business owns you.
And that's the
it's
point.
worse.
It is worse.
It is worse. And I haven't found an industry where you can actually buy the asset at something that you choose. We choose at what number we can buy something at. We don't have to use our own capital because the capital is available because of the returns of the capital. People always want a place to grow their capital no matter what. And once you understand asset-based lending, then that'll be very clear. Or there's existing debt, specifically now, if you're listening to this in 2022, or at the end of it, we're in November, interest rates have gone up significantly. There's a lot of cheap debt on assets that you can learn to take over without credit or using your own cash through strategy. And once you understand how to leverage debt or create debt and specifically get in the flow of the debt, which is what we've been discussing for the last 3 days at Ninja Creative, you can really completely change the financial path of your family and create the residual income that you've been looking for.
Well, and here's the thing. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know how to create debt or take over debt or do. Well, there was a time in your life when you didn't know how to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And someone taught it to you or you learned on your own. And, so the analogy that hits home, I think, is like you're a toddler and you stand up to walk and you fall over. It's not like, all right, that's it. You're not going to walk like you fell over. No, natural human instinct is to get up again, right? So some things we teach ourselves, some things we're taught by others. I wasn't like born understanding these things. I just chose to listen, and I don't always listen very well, and sometimes my ego creeps in and those sorts of things, and that's just a journey, right? Nobody's perfect. You just go through the journey. But I think being open to considering ways, and what I would really say is this, is that if you don't make the amount of money you want to make, and if you don't have a clear path to getting to the freedom you want or to the income you want, then what is your freaking plan? Because you're only going to be here so long, and then it's over. And so if you don't like where you are and you don't have a plan, then you need to find someone who takes enough interest in you to help you come up with a plan and execute a plan. Because if that's not what you're going to do, then I would just love to hear what the alternative is. Because there is no alternative. So you're going to listen to somebody else, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a degree, you're going to do that. Somewhere in your life, you're going to listen. But if you're in a place where it's like, I don't make enough, and I've been there, I've been totally broke, and telling my wife, you can't go to the grocery store today. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't go because we went bust in real estate in 2008 and I had to make some really difficult decisions. And so I know that feeling, and I know that feeling of knowing like my plan sucks. And I know what it's like to like have to humble yourself to go ask for help or get involved in something else. But if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do, because if you don't have a plan, then all you're doing is just burning daylight and you only have so much time.
That's very insightful. You're a lot wiser than you look, man. That's really good stuff. And something that you said earlier, Caleb, I want to circle back to is that, you know, people do think that they're planning for retirement. They're putting money aside, 401k, all these things to eventually build passive income, right? So you're actually buying into passive income. You're actually paying for using your own money, your own time. You're mortgaging your time and your money to eventually maybe retire with enough money to give you a lifestyle that is just possibly above the poverty line. Because if you actually look at how inflation is going and how much money you're going to be making, and I know you know that Social Security and the government is absolutely going to take care of you in your old age because they really care about you. And you know, this is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch, it's just the numbers don't lie. And most people that I interact with will die well after they've run out of money. They'll run out of money before they run out of life. And if I had met some of those people 5 years before, they'd have more money going into their account every single day, just like you do at this point. When you go to sleep, when you wake up, there is more money in your account than there was the day before, as you as well, and as me as well. And as that pot keeps building, you realize, well, I want to do something with joy and purpose in my life. And if you don't have purpose, you're basically, you're already dead, but nobody knows it yet, including yourself. And you have no joy. I spoke to someone earlier before we started this. I was at a friend's party, and his wife is pregnant, and I asked him, what brings you joy? And he's like, well, I want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort. I'm like, so if you had all the money in the world, would that be your same answer? He says, absolutely not. I want to help and empower people to be the best that they can be. I'm like, well, that's cool. So what's stopping you from doing that? And he just looked at me, and that was the end of the conversation. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, what I was going to say is to Brett's, that was a good bridge.
2 parts.
Yeah, part 2. People's vision, whether they know it or not, they have a vision. And it may be a bleak vision, or it may be a foggy vision, but they think, if I do this for 20 years, 30 years, I will be happy when I'm 65. If I continue to go to this job every day, I'll be safe. If I wake up every morning and put the boots on, everything will be okay. If I wholesale 100 houses a year, everything will be okay. But at some point, you're going to get rattled because nobody can ever see everything in the periphery. Nobody has a crystal ball. And your vision sometimes creates your beliefs, right? Or usually, basically it does. So when we're talking to sellers and they say, I need $1 million, they have a vision or a belief that they need that amount of money to get to their goal. And then we start peeling back the onion, and they want an RV. They want a house in the Caribbean. They have an $800,000 tax burden. All these things that Marco's taught us. And so for me, distilling all that into my perspective, it's helped me to see through the fog and be like, what are my actual beliefs and what's my vision? What's clouding my vision, my beliefs? And so how can I effectively communicate better with from my personal experience with a seller or an agent to get through to break through that veil, that fog, to really understand what that person needs, whether it's on a real estate deal or in real life. And once you get to that, then you can get to the real issue.
The thing is this, Caleb, is that, and you're absolutely right, And, government schools don't teach what you just talked about, right? So my kids don't need to know what color George Washington's white horse was. They don't need to remember what year the War of 1812 was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's great, but here's the thing, like, you said some stuff that if we taught children and even adults more about those things, their lives would be much better off. So a man without vision will perish. You're just going to die if you don't have a plan and a vision and a purpose in what you're going to do. And so whether that's real estate, look, we all know people that make lots of money doing lots of things. My experience is that real estate, especially the way Marco does it, none of your own money, it's forbidden, is one of the best ways to create wealth. And in 11 months, if I never did another thing, what Marco taught me created a tremendous amount, millions of dollars of wealth in my life, in addition to more monthly income. This is one thing that we did, more monthly income than most people make in a job like their whole life. And so I had to learn some things. I had to apply some new skills. I had to mess it up, and I messed it up. But having been through that kiln a few times, it was okay. I knew that like messing it up was actually part of the process, and it wasn't that big of a deal as long as you don't let your ego get in the way.
Well, and in the one deal that you did have done so far with Marco, you actually increased the employment in that place. You've created more opportunities for people to, we're not going to disclose where it is, but I'm assuming there's people coming through that area that need a place to
Better place to live.
Yep.
So, and then the title company and the agent, like all the
one
people
other
we
thing we
serve
did,
and all
which
those
we
things.
decided, I didn't tell you this, but so Jared and I decided that we were going to pick a nonprofit in every town that we buy in, and we would multiply some number by the number of doors we have and give. And so there we picked a crisis pregnancy center. So we have 60 doors there, and I forgot what the exact number was, like dollars per door. But we wrote them a letter and sent them a check, because they they take care of these girls who are pregnant, and they come in and they need all this help, counseling, and they need stuff, like they need diapers and this and that. So we're gonna do that everywhere we go,
Nice.
just as a way to give back to these communities, so that I didn't want to be a guy that lives in one place and like invests in this other place and doesn't sort of get involved in that community at best I could. I don't want to go there, I don't want to manage it, I don't want to do all those things, but how can we just give a little so that we're a bigger piece of that community than just we own this thing on this corner and we rake money out of that community every month. And so so anyway, I don't think I told you that.
No, you didn't. That's great. Yeah, I love that. So, we gave to give, right? We helped the seller.
Yeah.
You don't manage this hotel at all, because if you did, it would be ran to the ground already, right? You don't. So, honest. Do you need management experience?
No.
You pulled 100 and almost 200, mid 100s out of the deal the day you closed. Most people bring money to closing. Both of you pulled money out in your deals,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a person that's in their car right now, going to their job, they've been doing it a long time, they haven't even saved for retirement, because most people don't. And you want something so bad, but you just can't figure out what's the one thing that I need to do to change something today. If you could give someone that advice, I'll start with Caleb. Because the advice I give, not everyone takes, because obviously Marco's, he's up to no good. But, and you've seen, you've been with me for you've been with me the longest, but you know where my heart and my intention my desire to have people really succeed. Like I lead by example, and that's for the listener to decide for themselves. But I really would like, the reason we're doing this to begin with, and it's running quite long, is what was the one thing that if you could say to somebody, if you could whisper in their ear some sort of wisdom that would completely change their direction, because all you need is, the butterfly effect. The one thing that completely changes everything. What would that be?
That's a tall ask.
You want me to go first?
No, tough love. I would say you're your worst own enemy. I would say if you're a worker bee, like many, you don't know what you don't know, and very likely you probably are doubting yourself in the fact that you can do way more than you think you can. And we need everybody to work, and we need everybody to do their job, but at the same time, you are not your job. You are so much more than that. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, don't confuse your career with your life.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't have the skills. I don't have the intelligence. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I had this happen to me. I'm not good enough. There's that recurring pattern is, and there's something that you said to me that is still impacting me, and I'm still thinking it through, is as a worker, you're used to being told what to do, right? Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you have to start telling others, this is what you have to do, there's this bridge of, I don't understand how to be in control. I don't deserve to be in power. I don't understand, and which it shows your heart that you don't want to be, because some people can't wait to be vicious with other people. And I'm not looking at you for that reason at all, because you're not a vicious person at all. But I'm just saying there's that little, there's a switch that can be flipped that some people just find very difficult. And I don't know if that's something that needs to be talked about or not, but you said that, and it was like it hit me like a ton of bricks. And what exercises, what things can I do to help people with that?
What he described actually, which I was just gonna chime in here, is your internal beliefs. So everyone's got internal beliefs that they can't do certain things, they can't, and they got external beliefs that are obstacles to them. Like I can't duplicate what Brett did or what Marco did. I can't be like Marco or Caleb or whatever, or even myself for that. And I had those beliefs. And one thing I would any piece of advice is, listen, when you're driving to work, and some of you drive, and I've done this, I've done it for 25 years, some of you are driving to work without consciously knowing the roads you're going down. You're just in a pattern. You're stuck in that. I'm sure you guys went to work, you're like, how the fuck did I get here? I don't remember the light. I don't remember going turning left here, but it's true. Mm-hmm. It's your conscious, because you're doing it, you're in that pattern. So the only advice I give you is, if you're tired of that pattern, and I know many of you guys are, especially if you've been at a job for 15, 20 years, and now you're at that pivotal point, is like, do I go for the home stretch to go for this fictitious retirement where you think the government's going to take care of you, or even if you have a private pension with your company, it's still a lower amount that you're earning now. So just understand that. And people are living longer, with technology, which is great. Just so if there's one thing you're going to do if you're in that pattern, to break that pattern, is change your belief, change your mindset, and it could be just one thing, and change your results. So change your mindset to change your results, and you can still work where you're working at, but start doing something else. And it may not even be real estate. We just find that real estate is a great vehicle, and some people don't. My wife didn't like real estate. Mm-hmm. She goes, I hate real estate, but it gave her the vehicle.
I don't like it either.
Right now. Well, you don't like it either. You like
I don't
teaching.
like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't give a shit about real estate. Yeah. I give a shit about people.
There you go. So you teach because you want to serve people.
I'm a creator, and I enjoy creating solutions for people.
There you go.
And I serve people. People live or own the building, and I communicate with people that allow a deal to be struck that serves them and happens to make millions at the same time. But I'm serving people. But
exactly, you're serving people. So real estate, even for my wife, she didn't like it, but now that we got the passive income, she's doing what she wants. She kind of branched off. She's still somewhat in real estate. She's doing interior decorating.
She collects popsicles.
Yeah, whatever she wants to do. So it's that vehicle. Once you're comfortable and you get that passive income, do what you love, or do nothing. I guess you can wake up, scratch your behind and go back to bed if you really want to, or go golfing or tour and follow your favorite team.
So
the thing is, just change one behavior
It's
at a time.
Yes.
It's gonna take a while, but it's okay. You can go ahead. Take the mic.
That's a great. That real quick, Brett. Let me just do it. No, but like what Frank just said is change one behavior at a time, and Marco says it all the time. So what I was just going to say real quick is that if you're just to say you have no passive income, it doesn't matter if you're a worker bee, entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. Tackle, if you're a homeowner, for instance, figure out a way to set up some passive income to pay your property taxes or your electric. Like start with just start with one bill, whether it's your cell phone bill or just whatever. Say, hey, I want to figure out a way to get $100 a month to pay something. Turo your car.
Did you say total in my car?
No, Turo.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like
That's insurance fraud.
it's a way
I
to.
said turtle.
Turo is a way
your
to
car.
rent your car to people.
I know. It was a joke. Forget it.
Bad joke.
Cleared that up.
Whatever.
Some people don't know what that
my
means.
point is that you do one thing at a time. And so if you want to replace a $10,000 a month income, that's a big thing. How to eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Heard that
Go
today.
ahead, Frank. I mean, Brett. Sorry.
Go ahead, Frank. Sorry, so it's the person driving down the road,
Yes.
and
In automatic mode.
what are you doing, right?
And
So
yeah.
I'm going to say a couple of things. One is that you were not born with a self-image. Someone gave it to you. A little baby does not have a self-image. And so the things that you think about yourself, the limiting beliefs that you have, were given to you.
Wow.
And they were mostly given to you by people who loved you or love you. Mom, dad, grandparents, school teachers, they cared, but they gave you a self-image, and they gave you little Johnny talks too much in class, or this and that. And so you have all this shit that you carry around with you, that I'm going to tell you that whatever you believe about a creator, he didn't make you that way. And so you're not supposed to go from struggle to struggle. That's not the way life is supposed to be. So if you look out in nature, nothing struggles. Everything is in complete abundance. Are there 10 leaves on the tree, or are there 10 million leaves? They're uncountable. Does your lawn have like 7 blades of grass, or does it have millions and they're all over the place? So, and you can give lots of examples on that. But then you, Mr. Human, God's highest creation, you decide, oh, I'm here to struggle. Mm-hmm. Like, if you think that's your purpose, you are just living within your own limiting beliefs. And so you're actually here to live in total and complete abundance with no worries, not just health, not just finances, but health and everything else. So you're in the matrix and you need to get out of it. And most, the people that are supposed to know what that means will know what that means in this case. Some people think I'm, making a movie reference, but the way you get out of that is by what Caleb said. You take a step. And if you got involved with this or anything else, I'd love to see people win, because I love to see people get out of their own way. Whether it's my kids who didn't think they could run that fast, but they did, or somebody who didn't think they could do something and they accomplished it. Mm-hmm. What I tell my kids is, I don't care about what place or how many points or any of that. I want you to experience life at this, you gave it your all max. Just see what that feels like. If you don't like it, you can go back to doing nothing. But you're going to love what life feels like in a maximum capacity, doing your best, living in abundance. And so whatever that is, take that first step. If it's real estate, if it's with Marco, if it's something you've been thinking about, take the step, because without it, and it's just one thing at a time until you get it figured out. If you try to map it all out and look at it all, it will become so overwhelming. Think about your job. If they tried to teach you every single thing on day one, you'd mess it all up. You learned along the way, and you can learn while you earn in the real estate business, especially here, because you're going to get a ton of help. And so that's what I say to the guy driving that way. or the gal?
Embrace the struggle too. The struggle is how you get there.
That was good, man. That was really good. I really don't know how to end it other than that's the best ending we can end it
I want
with.
to be a tree.
Yeah.
Human form. Yes. That was deep.
You wanna-
That was really
you
deep.
wanna
Thanks
be-
for sharing. No, it was deep.
The answer to that is you want to be a tree.
I don't know. A tree with an abundance of leaves, man. I don't know.
Are you?
But I don't want to be this
Like you have-
tree where all the
like
leaves
you have
fall.
wood
I want
right
to be a
now?
tree. I want to be an evergreen tree.
Oh my goodness. I just made it creepy. But yeah, that was extremely impactful, Brett. It really was. I'm going to have to re-listen to what you just said because that was really, really, really good. And I am very pleased that you're part of the tribe, as you are, Caleb, as well. And your struggles and your dreams and your hopes and your mistakes that we celebrate every single time, because that is, I think, very important that to mention. I might talk about this in the middle because I want to end with what you just ended with, that you need to celebrate your mistakes and you know that it's okay to make mistakes, and nothing that you have ever done has ever been perfect. Ever been perfect. And there's no such thing as perfection. You know, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, Frank, we all know it's not perfect. There's no such thing. And we're a tribe of humans that are proud of our successes. And I want Frank to make an extra $5 million this month, or I want Brett to make an extra 10, and I want you to buy the mansion on the water so you can take care of your wife and your kids and just, you know, have the life of your dreams, because it's your God-given right, in my belief, to have abundance, to have everything that you desire via helping people, vis-a-vis helping. Well, I don't think I say that way, but really through helping other humans, because at the end of the day, it's about giving to give. It's about taking over something that is not a joy for the owner, that is a burden for the owner, and that with the skill sets that you learn to really take those over. So,
But you can't help others until you help yourself. You need to put the oxygen mask on first.
yourself. Yes, you have to learn how to help others. You basically have to learn how to save others that are drowning without drowning yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big picture. So appreciate you both. You have the level of gratitude I have is beyond measure. If there was a fancy word that I would use, I would use it. But I don't want to be funny. I'm sincerely appreciative of all of you investing the time. We're almost the next day, and you guys have been awesome all day, and I appreciate you so very much. You inspire myself, the tribe, and I'm just really honored to be working with you and grateful that you're both in my life. Three of you are in my life, really, because you're only as good as those that you surround yourself with, and I'm blessed to be here, and I appreciate you. And as a listener, I hope you got something out of this. I certainly did. And I think that anyone listening to this, if you don't get something out of it, just keep doing what you're doing, I guess. And good luck to you. And I mean that not in a facetious way, but I really, seeing the light at one point as to what your potential is really a wonderful thing. And then working towards that. So once again, guys, I appreciate you. Like us, love us, share us. And share as much as you can, and there is abundance, and we want you to have it, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your success and seeing your success, and us meeting again more often, and shooting the shit and having a good time and creating a world of abundance, and really serving as many humans as possible at the same time. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
See ya.
You can do it.
You can do it.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for a life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.